Hello, and welcome to the inaugural match of Alliance Tournament 15. Casting this match will be myself, moderator, joined by Elise Randolph. Tuskers Co. opting to bring a armor kiting drone composition, and Red Alliance going for a more all-in shield composition. Elise?
Yeah, Red Alliance are going to be in blue. Tuskers, the reigning champions, in red. As moderator mentioned, they are using a drone comp, and we see the swarm of drones and hyena webs about to be applied to the Red Alliance Sleipnir of Cthulhian. That is going to hurt quite a bit.
Speaking of things that also hurt quite a bit, the Purifier of Nestor has been dropped immediately by these Valkyries streaming across the field. Tuskers taking no wasted time getting these Valkyries and light drones across the field and chewing across the bomber core.
Yeah, this is going to be pretty brutal for this poor Red Alliance team. As Sutonia mentioned before this match started, this is one of the more popular archetypes that we've seen. This is just essentially just drone spam. And the Tuskers have augmented their drone spam with a hyena, which will be the linchpin of this setup. So as long as this hyena can get webs, we can see a jam applied to this hyena. But it looks like the hyena is still getting webs off, as he has managed to web a Navy Scorpion. But as long as this hyena can get webs and paints off, these ships will be melting. Look at Cthulhian just dropping through. He's got an ancillary shield booster and he's getting scimitar reps. Actually, never mind. He's not getting scimitar reps. Red Alliance have no logistics. They went all out deeps.
The Sleipnir has used all 9 of his ancillary shield charges, and with that he drops. Then it looks like the next Sleipnir of Nogic will be the primary for the Tuskers company, wanting to get rid of all the links for Red Alliance off the field. So what's your take on a no scimitar in this composition?
I'm not sure I like it too much, but a lot has changed with the points for this Alliance Tournament 15. Logistics got a little bit more expensive. Battleships like these Navy Scorpion hulls got a little bit more expensive. So, Red Alliance was just like, you know what, we're going to go all in on the DPS. It looks like they get hard countered by a kiting setup, and Tuskers took a kiting drone setup. So, looks like they probably lost this one at the onset here. But, they're still going for blood. Red Alliance has killed Long Drinks and a Vexer. They're going for Mr. Spaxy and another Vexer. I mean, Tuskers also didn't bring a logistics ship, but that's because they tank by running away from bad guys.
Yeah, crucially, Red Alliance had rapid heavies fit to those Navy Scorpions and auto cannons fit to the Sleipnirs, and without getting on top of any of the Tuskers' ships and getting proper tackle on top of them, there was no way they were going to do any sort of appreciable damage. And without any real meaningful tackle ships in their composition, Red Alliance was always going to have difficulty applying to these Tuskers company ships.
And you can see Tuskers basically ignored all the Kitsunes, all of the jamming and control from the Red Alliance side. That's simply because they have drones. They can just assign drones to another ship, and those drones can still apply all of their damage. So those Kitsunes were zero threat to this Tuskers team. Tuskers just took a team that completely outmaneuvered and just outmanned this Red Alliance comp. Unfortunately for Red Alliance, it doesn't mean that they are eliminated. They will be dropping to the lower bracket, the losers bracket as some people call it, but I like the lower bracket because they're not losers. The last Alliance Tournament champions have all come from the lower bracket, so maybe Red Alliance will keep up with the trend, but it's going to be pretty hard as we see their last ship, I'm not even going to pronounce the pilot's name, just exploding right now.
Yeah, with that, we're going to send it back to the studio, where our wonderful commentators from the live studio will break that one down for you.
Is a union of powerful mega corporations have brought brought its people both misery and triumph.
Hey guys, welcome back after that first match. Very quick match there between the Tuskers and Red Alliance. Tuskers bring a nicely thought out drone comp. We are expecting to see a lot of drone heavy comps. Full up Galente lineup apart from that Hyena for that long range webs. Red Alliance, double Scorp Navy, double slap, very heavy top end, filled out by double Kitsune, and then 4 bombers. So we talked about going a little bit all in, bringing something a little bit crazy. I think that falls in the definition. Rilo, do you think that comp could have worked, or do you think they were just
I think if Tuskers piloted, like, maybe if Tuskers literally just like rammed the Scorpion Navy issues, then maybe. But Tuskers obviously practiced this sort of comp. They did what they did on that drone comp perfectly. They just spread out, made sure nobody was tackled, and just let the drones do all the work. Obviously, they've got that long drone navigation range, so they just took out the team one by one. Especially when dual Scorpion Navy, dual Sleipnir, there's no logi. That's, you're eventually going to die.
This, of course, does not mean that Red Alliance is eliminated, merely that they pop into the losers bracket. So we will get the opportunity to see them again tomorrow in their losers bracket match against the loser of another match. Now, Suetonia, we mentioned before we're expecting to see drone comps. What do you think of the Tuskers drone comp here? Did you like how it was put together? Did you like the core ships chosen? Or do you think that it still requires some refinement? Do you think maybe they're holding something back in terms of really how to fly drone comps?
No, that seems like the standard drone comp to me. There is a variation where you can run a logistics ship instead and go top down with the Hyena and the Vexers. You can change them to be a bit smaller, like go with Daredevils or like anti-tackle screening ships generally. But yeah, they flew it perfectly well, and they also brought it in the form that it should be in. So great setup, flown well.
So, as we expected, beautiful theory crafting, beautiful execution there from the Tuskers. No shame at all to Red Alliance losing to the Tuskers, as we said before. Won last year's tournament, absolutely strong team. We basically expect them to ride through the winners bracket all the way to the grand finals. Now, Nash Kadavra, my man, we didn't get a chance to talk to you before we went into that match, but you're the man, along with Bayart J, who's up in my ear at the moment. You two have been really putting this whole weekend together. How's the transition been from doing one weekend of last year's tournament coverage there up to the 2 weekends this year? Is it a bit easier now that you've had the experience, or was the 2 weekends a real stress?
No, it's not necessarily double the stress. And it's not even necessarily double the work. We've got a really good team. We've got the experience. We've got some really good analysts. We've got amazing commentators led up by our Elise, fantastic host, obviously. And just the fact that we've got the experience and that really core group of people, it's made it much easier. It's much less stressful this year than it was last year, at least.
Well, that is good to hear. We, of course, have a ton of other people helping out behind the scenes. Do you want to do a shout out of who we've got in the
absolutely.
place
so,
today?
Part of the reason why this year is a little bit easier for us, we actually managed to bring the core group of streamers on site as well. So we managed to get Equalizer here and Biohazard, our 2 main streamers for anything that we do at EVT. So most of the esports projects that we do, they're involved or streaming it, doing the camera work and all this kind of stuff. And it's just great to have them here on site, making the stream much easier and allowing us to do some cool extra technical bits that you'll be using a little bit later today.
Fantastic. So we do have to do a couple shout outs here. So we need, of course, to shout out the fact that EVT are having a viewing party on the final weekend, that is on the 5th and 6th of August over here in Nottingham in the Antenna. What's it called, Nash? The Antenna...
It's the Antenna Media Group.
The Antenna Media Group.
Yeah, there's a bar and restaurant just outside the studio. So if you want to basically be part of what we're doing here, meet all the casters and the...
Being called the Confetti Media Group?
There's a college just on this side of the building, which is Confetti, and on this side we have Antenna, which is the bar and the restaurant, which is where we'll be hosting it. So if you want to meet some of the analysts, the casters, some of the tech staff that we have working on this, definitely recommend coming down.
Hanging out in the breaks.
Absolutely.
Also, a massive shout out to Chill Blast, who've done a great job sponsoring us here. They send us over some tech to really help us bring the best production we possibly can. So massive thank you to them. We also need to do a shout out for EVT London, which is going to be a big old meetup on the 18th of November.
Yep.
However, looking forward to the next match I'm quite excited about. Team very close to my heart, Waffles. Previously your votes don't count. They're going up against End of Life. So we're not really seeing either team of the caliber we expect from the Tuskers here. But both teams have a bit of a history. Both of them participated in multiple tournaments before. Waffles not particularly doing so well, but picking up some key games here and there, and then End of Life as well. They've won some games, but mostly not made it very far. Do you, either of you guys think that either of these teams have a chance to make it particularly far this year? Have you heard anything good about them? I mean, the winner of this match does have to face the Tuskers next round. What do you think, Suetonia?
Well, I think both End of Life and Waffles have the potential to be a good mid-tier team, and End of Life and Waffles have both, I think, come close to the top 16 several times. I think Waffles and End of Life have made it into the top 16 in a few tournaments too. At least End of Life has. So I don't know if they have the potential to beat the Tuskers, but I do think that they can do quite well, and they can potentially secure themselves the third weekend at least. I think that's possible for them and something that they'll probably be shooting for.
Yeah, and that's one of the great advantages of the double elimination bracket. You know, running into a Tuskers or a PL or a Hydra first round, you're not automatically out of the tournament. You can still show what your alliance has got through that losers bracket. Some of the best storylines being those teams who maybe drop out early from an unlucky draw, then go on an absolute tear through the losers bracket throughout, you know, the first couple of weekends. We do have some stats to bring up. We have a little snapshot of the meta for the first weekend. When we say the meta, we do mean by that what ships people are bringing, how people are fitting them, how people are flying them. The base game is, of course, what ships there are. The meta is what ships people actually use, what team comms are coming up. So hopefully we've got that coming up on the screen for you guys right now. So we see there that the Vindicator, naturally very popular a very high win percentage there, as it is the Spenter ship, down on cost. But armor on the far right there, far outstripping shield, as the armor comps tend to be drones and that MBC core, the Exodus shotgun that we were talking about earlier. After that, as we mentioned, the BC core and drones. Hull tanking has actually been a little bit popular. Obviously those Serpentis ships, the Vindicator, the Vigilant and the Daredevil are all fantastic to hull tank. I know CCP Fozzie's favourite ship, I remember him telling me once, is the hull tanked Vigilant, as that is, in his mind, objectively the best way to fit your Vigilant. So it's really great to see what types of ships are being picked, what types are then going on to win with that high win percentage. So Frigg Logi, again, being picked, you know, a fairly reasonable amount, but only a 40% win ratio. Hoping to see more Frigg Logi as the tournament goes in. Now, I am a big fan of watching Frigg Logi matches, though the only team we've seen do it really well so far has been the Ronin. If we're going back to this match, Waffles versus End of Life. You guys expecting here to see something standard, NBC Core versus NBC Core Mirror, maybe NBC Core versus drones? What do you guys think we're going to see from Waffles and End of Life?
I'm definitely seeing some I'm definitely thinking Waffles are going to have a traditional comp going, maybe End of Life as well. I don't think teams are that going into like those crazy comps, so definitely think they're going to keep it pretty standard, you know, keep what they've practiced. So I reckon there's going to be no crazy comp, but definitely some standard ones we'll be seeing as like as a traditional stamp towards the end of the Alliance tournament, maybe.
Yeah. So Waffles, as you'll know, are predominantly a low-sec alliance. Have they been venturing to null and deployments here and there? They went through that Waffles 2.0 transition, where they transitioned from their focus from being a feeder corps into Sniggerly in Pandemic Legion. Instead, they're retaining their members, they're building up their strength, and now they're fielding their own capital fleets, their own Macarial and Nightmare fleets out in null and taking on contracts and fighting out with some of the larger null entities there, obviously still within that umbrella of the Pan-Fan coalition. Do you guys know anything at all about End of Life? Anything they do on TQ?
I believe they're a nullsec corporation. I think they were in Stainwagon. I could be wrong there. I might be mixing them up with the Afterlife, but they are Russian-speaking alliance that have done quite well. They generally don't have the best theory crafting, but they have kind of just above average execution, but they have knocked out a few strong mid-tier teams in the previous tournaments, such as in AT13 and AT12.
Yeah, so I mean, End of Life, according to my notes, I just brought them up here, they're actually a high-sec wormhole alliance, which is how they can pop out into different parts of nullsec. Their first tournament debut was all the way back in 8011, where they beat Darkspawn, lost to Hydra, beat Angeli Mortis, then lost to Hum Reloaded. 8012, similar story, they went 1-2 there, but 8013 was actually a nice little run for them. They lost the Afterlife first round, obviously Afterlife, fantastic team, but then they beat Gone Critical, they beat CVA, they beat Dreamfleet, they beat Dead Terrorists, all the way to the final weekend before going down to the Gorgon team, which of course is the team that absorbed Darkside, historically a very strong Alliance tournament team. So let's go into some predictions then. Who do you guys think are going to win? Do you give the edge to Waffles, given their recent surge in retaining that brain power, not losing their best members into PL, or do you think End of Life, who have made maybe some deeper runs in the past, have that little bit more tournament experience under their belt?
I'm going to go against you, Apothony, against your wishes, and I'm going to go with End of Life on this one.
Suetonia, what about you, my friend?
I'm going to go with End of Life, but I think we should let everyone know that we're all Team 20 here.
Who's your pick for this match?
I'm going to go with Waffles. I like Waffles. So,
The question is, do you like pancakes? Still, Waffles also, my heart remains with them. I hope they smash End of Life down, but I do want to see End of Life perhaps do a little run through the losers bracket. It'd be really great to see them achieve something after years and years of being involved in the tournament scene. So with that, we are going to be able to transfer over to the casters in the booth, who are going to be able to give you guys a little rundown of what's going to be going on in the match for this second match of the day of Waffles versus End of Life.
All right, guys, welcome back